Okay, how's everyone doing? I hope everyone's having a great day today. Okay. Hello, hey guys. Hey there, hey there, Phoenix, and, Shane, Enthusiastic, Kyrie, hey, Rocco, Menacing, Zai, Minion Dave, NFS Rivals, Drifter Kids, Stale, CM Bears Punk. Hey, everyone. Okay. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna do GTA Advance this year. We'll do it this year. Hey, Far. Favorite Majima encounter? Maybe the zombie one. It was just so ridiculous. I guess it's all about just stacking the hands. I just look at a picture of what the hands are stock on Mahjong, and I get used to it. That's just what I do. Sure, Far, but you're just gonna have to wait a moment because I can't invite anyone during the bounty mission, so I just have to wait till it's just. I'll do the mission quickly, we'll deliver it, and then you can join it. I'm gonna do the Homefront games, though, that I have plans for doing, Michael. Oh, he's doing the career progress? I was not, I just never got into the career progress. It just wasn't for me. Because if I would just, you know, I'm more of a grinder. If I, like, went for all of these challenges, I don't think I'd be having that much fun with the game, personally. Have you used Komaki Parry? It's R1 circle, I think, on PS controller. I haven't tried it, really. I've used the Tiger Drop. That one I use a lot. I'm gonna have a video about it tomorrow, about the GTA 6 potential delay. I'll have a video about it, talking about it tomorrow. Like, I will tell you guys, I'll give you guys an example. Some challenges in games are fun to do, like trying to get, you know, you can be proud of, but some challenges are just so ridiculous, they're, like, really annoying, that it's like you don't even want to bother with them because they're just so stupid. Like, one game that I play a lot, right, guys, that I really enjoy is Hell Let Loose. It's a World War II multiplayer game, and when I'm playing through Hell Let Loose, right, I've gotten most of the trophies, so most of the trophies in the game I've gotten. However, though, there has been one trophy that I don't think I'll ever get in Hell Let Loose because it's just so ridiculous. And what the trophy is you have to kill 20 players with one bombing run as commander on skirmish. And the thing is, most people don't play skirmish. Skirmish lobbies aren't that filled up, and trying to get like 20 players to basically just get like in a single area in Hell Let Loose and just drop a bombing run and kill 20 players in one run on skirmish, it's ridiculous. I don't think I'll ever get that trophy, so I've pretty much given up on that trophy in Hell Let Loose. I've gotten almost all of the other ones, but that one I don't think I'll ever get because it's just such a ridiculous trophy. Why do you think Rockstar and Take-Two really hate the modding community? Simple. I can answer that question very easily for you. The reason they hate the modding community, and when we say the modding community, we're specifically talking the single-player modding community. The reason they hate the modding community is because they don't make money from it. That's the reason. It's people making, you know, extra stuff for the game, but they're not making any money from it extra. That is the primary reason. It's a greed. It's all greed. That's all it is. Thank you, Dixon, for the super chat. I'm doing good, Fishing. How are you, dude? Yeah, I heard about the protests in Iran. The protesters have taken over a few cities. I'm really curious whether this is going to be the end of the Iranian regime. That's what I'm really curious about. I'm hoping to get a job in a factory soon. Oh, good luck, Knight. I hope it goes good for you. Well, jealousy could definitely play a factor into it, Green, but it's primarily greed. BioShock, yes, I got plans to do a playthrough of that this year, yes. I know, there's a few people who have impersonated me through AI, it's ridiculous. Michael, Franklin, or Trevor, who do you, play most? I don't think I really have a character I play the most, maybe Franklin, if anything. So yeah, I don't think I really have one that I play the most. Thank you, Son of a Pirate, for the super chat. Yes, I will, Alk, just maybe sometime in the springtime, because I'm just busy with a lot of stuff right now, but we'll do a playthrough of it. We will. I should do Hell Let Loose as a stream one day. Yeah, I could do that. How does your green screen not affect you when you wear a green? I don't use a green screen. If you're wondering how I'm doing this, where I have my whole background, you know, cut out like this is the video broadcast. It's basically just a program that you install on your computer and you link to your webcam. That's it. I don't require a green screen. I don't need a green screen in the background. I have played Saints Row 4. I just haven't played it on the channel, but I did beat it when I was younger. But yes, I can do a playthrough of it. Yeah, we can do that. You think the U.S. is destroying Iran just to benefit Israel? Well, thank you for the super chat, AMRM. What I will tell you is, these... No matter how much money America spends, no matter, like, you know, how much intervention there is, they can't get thousands of people to walk out on the streets. So, like, you know, there are people that are saying, oh, you know, the U.S. government did this and a bunch of this other stuff, but did the U.S. government really get thousands of people to go out on the streets and just get pissed off at the Iranian government? I mean, Iran's a brutal dictatorship. That's what it is. So it's like people are just mad at the government. They're pissed off in general. So has the U.S. interfered in other countries? Yeah. Have they overthrown other governments? Yeah, 100%. But here what I'm basically seeing is I'm basically just seeing, like, a bunch of, you know, people that are just pissed off at the Iranian regime. And the thing about that is this is not the first protest that has gone on in Iran. There was also a protest where there was, like, a girl who didn't want to wear a face covering, and she got taken into police custody, and then she died in police custody, because in Iran that's illegal. So, you know, girls have to wear face coverings. And so she died in police custody. That caused a lot of protests. And then there was another situation where somebody in the comments might know a little bit more about this than me. There was some top Iranian politician where his daughter, when she had a wedding, did not cover her face at all. So she wore, like, a traditional Western-like dress, but meanwhile, every other girl at their wedding had to cover their face, but his daughter didn't. And so that was, you know, it's a massive double standard right there. What's wrong, Brandon? What's a terrible game with good music? No, I don't know. I'd have to think about that one. Yo, Brandon, just parlay them. Thank you, Need for Speed Rivals, for the super chat. Oh, and thank you, Princess, Isabel, Castillo, bears are too dangerous to be domesticated. What are they thinking making that guy have that bear stay in his basement? Does the name Timothy Treadwell mean anything to these clowns? I'm not I don't know that name. But also, there's an update. The bear has actually been finally removed. It's finally gone. So it just happened the other day where the bear has just been removed from the guy's house. But it took a month and 2 weeks, basically, a month and a half, to remove the bear from the guy's house. But that's horrible. He's still planning to sue the government, by the way, and he should. The government owes him some compensation for that. I wouldn't recommend doing it in this lobby right now, Far, because there's some idiot that's griefing us. Am I gonna do a midweek stream this week? Yes. We will do it on Fallout 76. Oh, I would recommend you watch the Polish movie Uprising. That's a really good one. The Pianist is also a really good Polish World War II movie. It's not made by Poland, but it takes place in Poland. The Pianist is a good one. Uprising is a good one. Cotton is a really good one also. I'm trying to think of. There's another Polish World War II movie as good as a few of them. Hey, Polyflame, how are you, dude? I haven't seen you in some time. How's it going, dude? Brandon, make sure you go to online options and put your playing style as defensive. Do that. I'm doing good, Polly. Oregon is a load of crap in this game. Let's, go. Wait, what do you mean, Blinded Eagle? Thank you for the super chat. Well, let me hang on here. To answer your question there, AMRRM, do I care about, people overthrowing their government in Iran? So, like, if the people overthrow the government in Iran, I'm perfectly fine with that. You know, Iran's a disgusting, brutal regime. But if you're asking me, would I support, like, you know, America going to war for Iran? Hell no. No more wars, no more stupid wars, no more stupid conflicts. As sympathetic as I am to people in Iran, I do think it's their responsibility to primarily overthrow their government. The U.S. should not get involved in that. So that's my view on it. I hope the government gets overthrown. I just don't want American intervention involved in this. See here. Hey, Tommy. Happy Friday, dude. Indiana is playing against Oregon, and seeing as this game is a blowout, IU's football team is set to make its first national championship ever. Oh, I didn't know that. I don't want to get into so much of the political drama, Charlie. I think a lot of the stuff that's going on is nonsense, but I don't want to get involved in a lot of the political drama that's going on right now. I think a lot of it's just talk. Yes, so Mr. Green, tomorrow I'm gonna have a video talking about GTA 6's potential delay. I'm gonna have basically my video will be saying I don't think anything's gonna happen. But I will say that about the Saints Row Mr. Godzilla fan video. I'm gonna probably have that on February 4. That's when I'll put it out. The reason it's so long is because I have my Saints Row like boss suit there, and I want to really wear that when I'm reacting to the video. So Mr. Saints fan Godzilla has already given me permission to react to his video. So that's I'm gonna wear my Saints Row like outfit when I react to it. Hey, Professional, I suggested collecting flag label pins a while back. Does that potential hobby have your interest? Yeah, but you know what I might be also interested in? What I might be interested in is I might want to collect, currency, like money, from, like different countries. That's what I think I might be interested in. I might, like, I was thinking about collecting something like historical, and I didn't know what I wanted to collect historical, and I was thinking about why don't I collect currency, like from like a lot of different countries, and like maybe something like that one day. I'm already into historical gun collecting, so I collect a lot of historical guns. But I wanted to start something else. And I was thinking about maybe money also, and even from countries that don't exist anymore. Countries don't exist. I would also be open to that. Like for example, if anybody knows the game Sniper Elite Resistance, it's a game that takes place in Nazi-occupied France during World War II. The game came out last year, and the developers actually sent me a creator kit, and the creator kit was like exclusive stuff that only YouTubers get. And in that creator kit, you know what they sent me? They sent me Vichy French money. So they sent me, it was like money that people used in like Nazi occupied France, and like the money was very different than the French regular money. I think I forget what France's currency is called, francs, or I don't remember. But they sent me like the currency that the Nazi puppet government uses in Nazi occupied France. I did do an unboxing of that. I don't know if it's a reproduction or if it's real. I'd have to look at the bills again. But they were bills that they use in like Vichy France, with Vichy France like the French puppet state. I still gotta do the DLC storyline. The DLC storyline takes place after the main game. I never played it. I gotta do that one day. I'll do it next month probably. Okay. Do you prefer Fallout 3 or New Vegas' story? I think New Vegas is the better main quest, but I like Fallout 3's map more than New Vegas' map. It just feels more apocalyptic to me personally. Okay. And he can lock on here. Man. I am accepting it, Brandon. You hit the parlay and it's not even doing anything. Can you even lock onto these people? That's, I wonder if they're doing the glitch. If they're doing the glitch, it's pathetic, then. Hang on, let me see here. Offensive. Okay. Great. Brandon, don't worry about this. We'll get out of this situation in a moment here. This is a bunch of losers. That's just what it is. Yeah. Yeah, it's I don't even know why people do this. They're just doing it for attention. But deal with this in a moment here. Camps. Join a different lobby. Yeah, I'm gonna in a moment here. Damn. This is why sometimes I hate Red Dead Online's combat. It's you'll just shoot them a bunch of times, they won't die, and it's instant headshot, it's over. Okay. Damn. Oh wait, General, it's me. You've accidentally killed me. How is he one-shotting you? All they're doing is they're just doing headshots. Yeah, that was an accident from General, but... Join a new one? Yeah, we're gonna join a new one in a moment here. Hold on. Camp. There we go. What is it here? What imposter? What? Was that so hard? No, I wanted to see if I could get back to my Moonshine shack, but for some reason defensive mode there isn't working, but hold on. It's okay, General. I know what you didn't mean it. I don't do something different here. Yeah, there is a way to do an invite-only session. It's a glitch, though. We might have to do it here. Because I just want to do missions and talk to you guys. I don't want to fight a bunch of losers that have nothing better to do with their time. Okay. Okay. Brandon, join my new session here. Okay. Yeah, it's probably the same people from last week. Like I said, just a bunch of losers. What were your thoughts on the SS5 incident? Can you remind me which one that was? Because there's so many incidents in the, There's so many incidents in the Ace Attorney games, I always just forget them. Can you remind me which one it is? What's the best part of Call of Duty Vanguard? I don't know. The multiplayer wasn't that bad itself. Maybe the Warzone map was probably the best part of it. Richard, you should be able to join the Posse. Oh, that one. Well, it was, you know, horrible. It was, they were, what was it, the double wanted to be the real president. Can you read my comment? What's your question, April? Yeah, it's just one moment, Brandon. We're gonna test the defensive mode here. Yeah, we're gonna do Fallout DLC right after this Yakuza here, Zach. I just wanted to finish it. I am far. Do you have it installed? Dead Rising 2, we're gonna do this here, yes. Rockstar abandoned this game. They did. Killzone, yeah, I'll do a playthrough of it one day. It's actually on my list of games to do a playthrough of. What's your question, Phoenix? How come many people don't know about the Caruso mines where kids would have their hands burnt and stuff and might be crushed? Because ignorance of history? Just parlay them, guys. Parlay them. God. Yeah, I could, Far. We could talk about it tomorrow if you want to play DMZ also. Funniest sub-story in Kiwami 1? Oh, the one with the scam with the stone that they were trying to sell you. I feel bad for Bobby because he married Janice. In The Sopranos, you mean, right? She didn't seem too upset that Bobby was also dead. Do you think the devs at Rockstar are leaking stuff about GTA 6 because they are fed up with the working conditions? It's a possibility, but I think that the developers are being really pushed also. I think, yeah. I think the developers are kind of being overworked and they're getting a bit pissed. Thank you, Emberino, for the super chat. John Woo's Stranglehold, you mean, right, Gunner? I gotta play it one day. People said it's like Max Payne. Why was the STG-44 called the MP-44 before in the war? STG-44 and MP-44 are the same thing. There's no difference. It's just the name. The reason it was called MP-44 was because Hitler did not allow that. Hitler was against making semi-automatic and automatic, like, you know, rifles. He was against that. He basically believed that bolt-action rifles would win the war. And the German scientists were desperate, and so they made the MP-44 behind his back. That's what they did. It was the STG-44, so they called it MP-44 to disguise it as Machine Pistol 44. That's what they called it. Not as easily, General's alert. Why was the Gewehr 43 invented then, if Hitler didn't allow it? Good question. About that, here's the backstory of the Gewehr 43. The Gewehr 43 was actually based on the Gewehr, on the Gewehr 41, and the Gewehr 41 was actually based on the SVT 40. So when they invaded the Soviet Union, what happened was the Soviets had large stockpiles of SVT 40s. The Soviets were actually planning on being the first country the Soviets were planning on being the first country in World War II to have a semi-automatic weapon as their standard issue weapon before the United States came into the war. So the United States was really the semi-automatic rifles were used in World War II, but the thing about that is even though that they were used in World War II, the U.S. was the one who had it as their standard issue. So their main rifle, it was the U.S. Most other countries, their main rifle were bolt-action rifles. Like the British had the Lee Enfield, the Soviets had the Mosin Nagant, Germany had the Kar 98, and so forth. Italy had the Carcano, Japan had the Type 99 Arisaka. So most countries, their standard issue was the bolt-action rifles. The U.S. was the only one that had semi-automatic as their standard issue. So the Soviets made the SVT-38 originally, and the SVT-38, they were trying to use it in the Winter War. So when they invaded Finland in 1939, but the SVT-38, the original model, had like a really bad defect where the magazine would actually fall out of the gun, which is definitely not a good thing. So then they refined it and made the SVT-40. Now, the Soviets, they were really stupid and incompetent, and this is what I think a lot of people don't really talk about much. The Soviet army in 1941 and 1942 was really incompetent. Like, really, really, really incompetent. And what the Soviets did was, they stockpiled almost all of their SVT-40s right on the border. So it was, like, right on the border with, like, Germany and, like, in Soviet-occupied Poland. They had it in, like, these large armories right there. Now, when the Soviets got overrun by the Nazis and they started retreating, this is when Operation Barbarossa happened in June 1941, they basically left all those SVT-40s in the armories. They didn't even blow them up. They just basically let them get captured. And so, if you actually go on Google and you type in World War II SVT-40, you will actually see just as many pictures of German soldiers holding it than Soviet soldiers. And that was because the Germans preferred it, over their Kar 98s, because it was a semi-automatic and it fired, they had plenty of ammo. They just captured the Soviets' stockpiles of it, Soviet ammo stockpiles of it, and, thousands of SVT-40s, so they were using it, But the Germans really liked the rifle. Then what they did was they actually sent the rifle to Berlin to be studied. And they used it, and they basically made their own version, which was the Gewehr 41. Now, the Gewehr 41 was not allowed to have this fancy gas system that the SVT-40 was. There was, like, all these rules that Germans had on making their own guns. It was, like, it made their guns overly complicated. That's why the Gewehr 41 was so complicated. And then they later made the Gewehr 43, which was the Gewehr 43 was basically a simpler model of the Gewehr 41. And so that was basically it. It was that they were just making it as a necessity. But Hitler was definitely not in favor of guns like that. He definitely didn't like, semi-automatic rifles. Did not like that at all. He thought that bolt-action rifles would win the war, and so that's why a lot of these guns were actually developed in secret. They weren't even developed for, with Hitler's approval. So the STG-44, the reason it was called MP-44 is because in German, MP, machine pistol 44, that's what it was. So it was disguised on paper as a submachine gun, but in reality, it was actually an assault rifle. Yes, the Germans did complain about Americans using shotguns in World War I. That is true. Hold on a second. We are going to make a private session. Hold on. Been playing... Hang on one second here. Brandon, stay in that session. We're going to make a private session right now, okay? Okay, so just hold on, chat. Just give me 1 minute. I'll answer the comments and the super chats. I just want to get my friends out of that toxic lobby, because these idiots just keep following us lobby to lobby, so what we're going to do is we're going to make a private session right now. It's a glitch to make a private session. It's the only glitch that I actually do. And sometimes we do it just so we can get away from these morons, but, if I can do a glitch to get into a private session so I can get away from these idiots, I'll do it. Been playing Mafia 3. There was a character who's Irish. He sounded Northern Irish in some ways and mentioned Belfast. Are you talking about Burke? Thank you, Aaron, for the super chat. Am I gonna play another GTA before GTA 6 comes out? Yeah, Vice City Stories on the 20th anniversary and next gen version of GTA 4. GTA Vice City. Okay, Brandon, you're still in that session, right? Okay, hold on. We're gonna do the thing right now. Hang on. This is how you get into a private session. For people wondering how you get into a private session, I'll show the entire chat right now. You host a private poker game. Okay. Okay, Brandon, I'm gonna invite you right now. Brandon, tell me when you're joining. When it says processing, tell me. So this is basically how you create a private session. You create a private poker game. Your friend has to be in a different game, invite you, and then you have to invite your friend. Th and thank you, Hello Show. Thank you for the super chat. I am gonna play a few of the GTAs there. Brandon, did you get in? Pro, I thought you were against glitches. I am for the most part, but there's really only two glitches that I've done in games. And the only two glitches that I've really done is I did the hat on a mask glitch in GTA because I wanted certain outfits where I wanted to have a hat on a mask. And I do this glitch to get into a private session. And this glitch is harmful. It's not like I'm exploiting money or doing God mode or something like that. I'm just creating a private session. That's all it is. Where no one can join except my friends. That's ultimately what it is. And how the private session glitch works is that when you have a person on your friends list and they invite you, you can join. You can only join through invite. You cannot join the person through recent players or anything. That's how the griefers are joining. Is they're joining specifically through recent players. They look for recent players and they're joining through that and they don't play the game until I get on. So they'll basically like wait a week and then I'll still be in their recent players and then they'll just join me off of that and they just keep doing that. That's it. But through these, private sessions, they can't join. They can't get in. Brandon, are you in there? Okay, hold on. I'm gonna restart my game then. You said harmful. You mean harmless? Well, whatever. I'm just losing my track of words, dude. Um. Okay. Okay, wait. Somebody who's not in the session, can you just test? Are you able to join it without an invite, just to make sure it's a? What do you know about Operation Mincemeat? Are you talking about how the British basically took that dead body and stuffed it with a bunch of like Allied war plans and put it in the ocean, hoping that the Germans would find it and get misled on where they're landing? Okay, let's see. This might be the lobby where we finally have some peace and quiet here, and I can also answer chat, so I'll be able to read more comments about these idiots just jumping me constantly. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna go back in game chat here. Okay, I think I got it here now. It was a bit more than that. Yeah, well, they took a dead body, and it was a British guy. It was a British homeless guy that died from eating rat poison, and they basically took his body. They dressed him up as a British officer, military officer, and then they put a bunch of documents on his body, and they pretended like he died in a plane crash in the water. and they made him wash up on the coast of Spain, knowing that the Spanish would, you know, give that information to the Germans. And the note said that they were going to invade in Greece, but they were really going to invade in Sicily. The least favorite part of Mafia 3? My least favorite part of Mafia 3 is probably going around finding all those junction boxes. When you get to Metal Gear Solid 5, there are audio logs that tell you about the Soviet-Afghan War. Ocelot mentioned collective punishment against Afghan villages, poisoning water sources, mining fields. Ugh. That's... The Soviets killed 2 million civilians when they were in Afghanistan. A lot of people don't know that. Okay, yeah, I can help Brandon. Or we're just making sure that no one else can join this here. Okay, Brandon, form your posse. I'll help you with your sale. Why doesn't police immediately take action against mafia families? Because it's about bringing down the whole family. If you just arrest one guy, that's not really going to do anything. And here's the thing is, to arrest multiple people, you need to prove that they've committed some kind of crime. You can't just arrest people for being members of the mafia. In America, there's no such charge as being, like, arrested as being part of a gang or a mafia. That really doesn't exist. So, like, in America, you can't be arrested for being a member of a gang. You can't be arrested for really being a member of a mafia. You can be arrested when you commit crimes as being part of a mafia, but there isn't a charge for being in, like, the mafia itself. There's not a specific charge on that. Other countries have it different. In other countries, there are charges on where you're a member of an organization, like a criminal organization, but in America, there's no charge really for that. The only time you can be charged for being a member of a criminal organization directly is when it's part of your parole. So certain parole conditions might be that you can't associate with, like, these other, you know, mafia or gang members, and if you violate that, you could basically be sent right back to prison. That might be like a condition of a parole, but it's not like a specific, like, it's not like a specific charge, though. Pro, the Maduro militia in Venezuela, the colectivos, are taking their anger on people who supported his capture. A lot of people are being beaten and detained. I'm not surprised by that. Venezuela is a dictatorship, so I'm not surprised by that, the militia is doing that. What's your question, Phoenix? I remember the Mauser pistol used to cost that much money. Brandon, I think we're good here. Yeah, I think we're good. We don't have any of those idiots joining us. I think we're good. I think we made a private session. So yeah, so I'm not, this is like a harmless glitch. It's not harmful like God mode or something else. Because all we want to do is play in a private session. That's it. Why isn't Reddit Online have private sessions like GT Online? Because the developer never bothered with it. They just abandoned this game. Have you answered why part 2 of Kiwami is missing? Yes, copyright claim. I got copyright claimed for the Yakuza Kiwami theme song. You know that song I have playing the last 30 seconds of every video? You know, when it's like a picture of Kiryu standing and there's like a song playing for 30 seconds? It got copyright claimed because of that. Like multiple videos got copyright claimed. I removed the claim on most videos. I just muted that part of the music so that the video could still be up. But what I did was, on the second part, I disputed it. So I'm disputing that claim. And hopefully it gets released. But it is stupid what's going on. Imagine doing a glitch after getting griefed. Imagine harassing players that don't want to fight. Imagine doing that. Because that's what those losers were doing. I want to see those losers join into this session now. skilled griefers, there's no such thing as a skilled griefer. The only thing griefers are skilled at is being losers. Well, now we can have peace and quiet, and I can read the chat. Well, Lalo was like a psychopath in you know, Better Call Saul. Thank you, Aaron, for the super chat. Do you have a Twitch? No, not really. I only use YouTube. Why do griefers do what they do? Attention. That's the primary reason. It's all about attention. It's like, oh, haha, I killed a professional. Let me upload like a 5-minute clip with just constantly headshotting him with Deadeye in the Lancaster repeater. That's all it is. Oh, I'm definitely buying GTA 6 when it comes out. Here's how it is with us grinders. We want to play a game. We don't want PvP. We want to play the content of the game in peace, not deal with other people. Oh, I agree with you. I agree 100% with you, yep. Thoughts on a GTA game set in 1970s Las Venturas? I don't think they'll ever go that far back. I would like to see like a stories game set in maybe Liberty City or something like that. I did watch a little bit of the Yankees when I was a kid, but I stopped watching baseball, Devin. I just never could get into it. I think so. TV show, right, Menacing? I've seen you've played Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition. I don't know if I remember playing that game. Yeah, Hitman Blood Money can be a bit difficult to platinum, yeah, it can be. What do you think of Rafael Caldera? Do you think he deserved praise for establishing democracy in Venezuela after years of military rule, and he proceeded to pardon Chavez in the late 1990s? Worst decision ever to pardon Chavez. Chavez destroyed Venezuela. Like, that country was just ruined because of him. Yeah, I did hear about that alien. The bear finally left on the guy's property. It's gone, finally. I'm gonna wait till a few more come out, and then watch it, Edwin, because I don't like it, I don't like waiting a week for every episode, especially if there's cliffhangers. Was the Desert Eagle originally made to take down bears? No. The Desert Eagle was made to, as a military pistol. That's primarily what it was made for, but it was just unpopular with militaries because it was too heavy, it was too big of a gun, and it fires such a powerful cartridge. I just always have ideas for lore content that I can make. What's my favorite anime dub? My favorite anime would have to be Golden Kamuy. But if you're asking me what my favorite dub would be, it would probably be on Moriarty the Patriot. On Moriarty the Patriot, they had a pretty good dub, because it took place in, like, Victorian-era Britain, and they had pretty good, you know, voice actors for a lot of the characters. So they sounded like authentic British people from the time period.
Come on, you bastard! Hey now, you ain't supposed to be here. I'm gonna make you leave now.
How do you have fun in Reddit Online playing with friends, talking to you guys? Yes, Alec, I'm gonna do that World at War co-op veteran stream. I just don't know when, but I'll do it. I do have plans to do it.
For the love of God. You half-breed. Oh my God!
You played, what was it,
You don't want to
Mafia the Old Country in Sicilian, but Metal Gear Solid not in Japanese? There's a difference. I played, Ghost of Yotei in Japanese dub, and I also played Yakuza in Japanese dub. Metal Gear Solid might have been made by Japanese developers, but the majority of the characters in the game are Americans. And so they're going to be speaking English. And so that's why I don't play with a Japanese dub on Metal Gear Solid, because the characters are speaking, you know, mostly English. That's what they would be speaking. Most of the characters are American in the Metal Gear Solid games. That's it. Well, the other games, like, you know, I use a Sicilian dub in Mafia the Old Country because it takes place in Sicily, and I use the Japanese dub in Ghost of Yotei because it takes place in Japan, and so does Yakuza. Oh, I missed a super chat. I'm sorry. Iran protest has been going on for 2 weeks, the longest opposition the regime has faced in a long time. I'm starting to feel hopeful. I know the regime has actually turned off the internet in Iran, but I guess we're gonna have to see what happens next.
Damn it! Again!
It's kind of ironic. That regime took power through a revolution, and now they're being overthrown by their people. So that's, they probably know what the Shah felt like back then now. But but hopefully, you know, that regime goes away and, you know, finally the dictatorship in Iran ends.
For the love of God.
Russia is a wartime economy. That war could last for years still.
You half-breed.
I know that Zero's voice actor couldn't even beat the Zero missions. I know that. Yes, I know, Mr. Green, and I want to make it before the end of this month. That's my plan to do.
You damn unit.
I had pizza. Was it good, General? I'm not talking to anyone in voice chat right now, Far. I can invite you a little bit later, though, but I'm not talking to anyone in voice chat right now. What date am I streaming? I stream on Fridays and Sundays. Fridays Red Dead, Sundays GTA. I usually try to start in the mid-afternoon, you know, Eastern Central Time, around there. Sometimes I start a little bit later, earlier, depending on what's happening in a day, but I always stream on those days, generally. And I also starting to do middle-of-the-week streams. This Wednesday, I think, we'll do Fallout 76. I did hear a little bit about that, Phoenix. Pro Russia Sniper has a question. What was your parents' favorite World War II movie? Probably Uprising. It was the Warsaw 1944. I think that's what it's called. It was a Polish movie on the Warsaw Uprising. Thank you, Brandon. So let me form my own posse here now. The thing about that gunner is if Simon Bolivar saw Venezuela today, he would be disgusted. You know, Bolivar would never support socialism. So that's the thing about him is you know, that's what I find so ironic about this. You have all of these stupid socialists just like across Latin America. They're constantly using Simon Bolivar's name. They're like, oh, you know, we support Bolivarianism, we support his ideology, we support Simon Bolivar. But Simon Bolivar would have hated socialism. That's the ironic thing about this. So, like, they're constantly using him as propaganda, but they don't even know him.
We can sell it when you like. D'accord.
Is it true Marty's gang from GTA Vice City was based on the Dixie Mafia? In a way, they're kind of also based on Trailer Park Gangsters, Aaron. I don't know, Gilton. I haven't really been checking my character's, stats right now.
You have some work ahead of you. I hope you are feeling rested, huh?
Pro, in the final chapters, Enzo had asked Teresi if he could be with Isabella. Do you think Teresi would have said no, or that he would have killed him for even asking? I think he would have killed him for even asking. That's why I think so.
Please take it seriously, eh? There are those who wish us to fail. À chaque fois, ça me rend nerveux.
What challenge do you need help with, Brandon? I don't have that worked on with this program, but I could try to figure out how to do it in the future, far. What's the difference between Mafia, Yakuza, Triad, Broadfire? Well, Mafia typically refers to American Mafia, specifically mostly Italian Mafia, Italian-American Mafia. The Bratva, that means Brotherhood in Russian. It is the Russian Mafia. Triads are the Chinese Mafia, and Yakuza are the Japanese Mafia. Pat, do I enjoy watching Western movies? Because I played Red Dead Redemption games, and it almost got me into Western movies. For example, The Bad, the Good, and the Ugly. Oh, I haven't actually watched a lot of Western movies. I did watch one Western TV show, which was The Young Riders. I watched that one, several episodes. I also watched Into the West, but I haven't really watched any movies. That might be an interesting theory to make one day, Mr. Hopkins. There's a lot of people that think that Zero is Daniel Lamb. Well, the thing about that is that the Mafia have, like, different names. There's, you know, there's the Irish Mafia, there's the Black Mafia, for example. But when you just say specifically just Mafia is like a single word, most people just think of, like, Italian-American Mafia. That's what people think. There's also German Mafia, but they existed mostly in, like, the Midwest. But they weren't really that big. You have the best content. Thank you, Phoenix. Do you think those involved in import-export also give money to Mr. Faber, including Yusuf? Also, who from GTA Online could we see in GTA 6? My guess is Bogdan and or Pavel. Yeah, I think that Jimmy is definitely gonna be there, because, like, when Amanda mentioned that, you know, their son moved out, I think Jimmy will be in GTA 6. Roman, we might see him also, because he talked about how he likes to go on vacation to Vice City. Rubio, I think, is a huge possibility you might see him. Also, who else? I have to think about that one. Jerry Kapowicz, the homeless guy who opened the gun shop in Vice City. Might see him. I need surf players in the bar in Moonshine. Oh, okay, Brandon, let me help you with that right now, then. Do I play Call of Duty Warzone? I play DMZ, if that counts. Because I know DMZ has the same Warzone map from Modern Warfare 2, but I don't think a lot of people see DMZ as different than Warzone. So that's... How do you never get tired of saying the same thing over and over again? Well, what thing are you talking about specifically? And I'm answering questions, so... Okay, let me help Brandon with this challenge here now, then.
Me and your boss, we'll be running this whole state within the...
Success.
Okay. Did you get your challenge, Brandon? What are my opinions on the shooting of Renee Good in Minneapolis? It happened a few miles away from me, Pro. I don't want to get too much into that. The only thing I will basically say about that is that we should wait for the investigation. That's what I say. There was a second video that was actually released recently, but we should wait for the investigation and wait for, you know, see what the investigation says. That's what I'll say about that. I don't want to get too much into that. The first video I saw of you was your old Liberty City stories with the big explosion. That's when I found you. Oh, that one, yeah. That's the largest explosion ever in a GTA game. That one, I remember that one, yeah. That's when Tony destroyed Fort Staunton. What would happen if the military and security forces fired on the protesters in Iran? They're doing that right now, actually. Oh, hey, Long John, how are you doing, dude? Do you think that General Luan kind of fumbled it when he shot Van Lem right then and there? I know that if they put Van Lem on trial, the North Vietnamese would also try to spin that as propaganda. The thing is that no matter what he did, no matter what he would have done in that situation, would have been spun as propaganda. Did he do the right thing by shooting the guy? I don't think so, because even though Van Lem was a war criminal, like, the proper procedure would be to basically just put him on trial and just, you know, do it publicly. But, you know, him shooting the guy, you know, when he's being taken away in the middle of the street, just looks really bad. That's what I'll say about that. And the thing is when you think of that picture, that famous Vietnam War picture is like the best summary of the entire Vietnam War. Like it perfectly summarizes the entire Vietnam War because of like just the amount of misinformation. Like Vietnam is probably the war that has the most amount of misinformation. Of like any war in history that's happened, Vietnam War is probably the war with the most amount of misinformation. There's so much propaganda regarding the Vietnam War. There's so much misinformation. There's so many things that people don't know about that conflict. And, like, that famous picture of Van Lem's execution is probably the best example of misinformation and how misinformation can basically be weaponized. For people that don't know what I'm talking about, there's a famous Vietnam War picture. I talked about it in my Black Ops playthrough. But basically, you might know the picture that I'm talking about, guys, and I'll answer the super chat in a moment. There's a famous picture of this Vietnamese general shooting this Viet Cong prisoner in the streets. So he has a revolver and he shoots him, and like the picture is taken like a millisecond before he gets shot. Like as the picture is taken, the gun's already going off. And so, like a millisecond after that picture is taken, the guy drops dead to the floor. Now, there was a reporter, an American reporter, took a picture of that, and what happened was he published it. And that picture went viral. It was the Saigon execution, yes. That picture went viral, and what happened was people were saying that, that this is like an example of like American brutality and how corrupt the South Vietnamese government was. They executed a guy in the middle of the street. But here's the thing that people don't know about. The guy that was actually executed in that picture was not innocent by any means. That guy's a mass murderer. The guy that was like the guy looks scared in the picture. Anybody would be scared, you know, when they're being arrested for murder. But that guy was a mass murderer. The guy that was executed in the picture. But because the picture is taken like right when the murderer is like executed in the streets, a lot of people think like, oh, it's just some poor guy, innocent guy that was protesting against the South Vietnamese government that got executed. But in reality, the guy was a mass murderer. What the guy did was the guy was a terrorist. He was part of the Viet Cong, which the Viet Cong was a terrorist organization. They pretended to be civilians constantly and would attack from the shadows. And that's a violation of the rules of war, because the rules of war, you cannot, you know, pretend to be a civilian. You can't do stuff like that. You have to use a proper military uniform. But the Viet Cong pretended to be civilians. They did several bombings. They killed their own people, terrorized their own people. They even used child soldiers. But specifically regarding Van Lem, what Van Lem did was Van Lem and his guys, they actually broke into a South Vietnamese police captain's house. And what they did was, they basically forced that South Vietnamese captain to teach them how to drive tanks. Because during the Tet Offensive, the Viet Cong had stolen a bunch of like tanks from like military bases inside the city, and they wanted to know how to drive them. But the police captain refused. And when the police captain refused, what Van Lem and his guys did was they killed that police captain. They killed the police captain's wife. They killed the police captain's mother. So and then what they did was they shot all of his kids. All of his kids, killed all of them. There was only one child that survived, and the only child that survived was because the mom jumped in front of him to shield him from bullets. And that kid got shot multiple times, and they thought that he was dead, and they left him there. But he survived. He got rescued, and that kid was actually taken back to America and grew up in America. And he ended up, and ironically, that kid actually ended up growing to became an admiral in the American Navy. And so that's what a lot of people don't know about, is they look at that picture of Van Lem getting executed. And does that change your mind on that picture, guys, when you think about it now? You see the picture of the murderer getting executed, but you don't know the backstory on the picture. You don't know that the guy who literally was executed in that photo had literally murdered a bunch of children just prior before that. And so the reason the South Vietnamese general shot him was because they caught that guy near a mass grave. They literally caught that guy near a mass grave, a bunch of like innocent people that had been murdered by the Viet Cong. And that general knew that police captain, so he knew the police captain that got murdered by him. And that general got pissed off, just took out his revolver, and just basically shot the guy dead in the streets. And so, like, you know, when you really think about that, like, would a lot of people not have that thought when it comes across them? I know a lot of people wouldn't do it, but when you really think about that, like, imagine this guy killed one of your best friends. And not only did he kill one of your best friends, he also killed your friend's kids. You know, imagine that. And this guy, you're like marching this guy through the streets. Like anybody would be thinking about that. Like, I want to kill this guy right now. Like most people would be thinking about that in their heads. And like the general snapped and he shot the guy in the head and killed him right there. And unfortunately, what happened was the media had taken that picture and they had basically made the guy out to look like a murderer. They made the guy out to look like they made the general look like an evil person, and they made the mass murderer look like he was an innocent bystander. That's the power of propaganda. That's what propaganda and what misinformation can do. It can do basically stuff like that. That is literally what misinformation can do. So like that entire picture, the Saigon execution, is like a perfect example of the Vietnam War. It perfectly summarizes the Vietnam War because of just the amount of misinformation in that conflict. It'll be cool to see Angus from the Lost and Damned. So far, he's the only surviving member of the Lost Alderney chapter unaccounted for. Yep, that's true. And the thing is, the Lost are Angus's life. That's what his life is, the Lost. And so even though he can't ride a motorcycle anymore, Angus would have still moved out there with them. So like if the entire Lost had basically moved out to San Andreas, he still would have moved out there with them. So so it makes no sense that you don't see him. Thank you, Snowy, Imp, for the super chat. Today's the 10th anniversary of David Bowie's death. Oh, I didn't know about that, Aaron. Thank you for the super chat. Got it now before I need one. Well, you got the challenge done, Brandon? But guys, here's the thing about this. And this is what I'm gonna say about the Saigon execution about it. When it comes to the Saigon execution, the photo I was talking about, right? A lot of people say that the reporter who took the picture is a scumbag, but the thing is, I wouldn't call the reporter a scumbag because the reporter didn't know what was going on at the time and he took the picture and the reporter regretted taking the picture. Like the reporter even said, "I ruined this guy's life." So like the reporter who took the picture, he actually even said that I should have never taken that picture because I ruined the general's life. I made the general look like a murderer and I made the mass murderer look like a victim. So I wouldn't say it's entirely the reporter's fault. It's more the fault of the other reporters who spread that picture around and had basically just made the general, tried to make the general look like an evil man and the Viet Cong murderer as like an innocent person. But anyways, what happened is the reporter ended up saving that guy's life because that general, that South Vietnamese general, he actually got shot in the leg later during the Battle of Hue City. So he took a bullet for his country. And when Vietnam was being overrun by the North Vietnamese in 1975 with the fall of Saigon, he was actually evacuated to America. So he was one of the people that was evacuated. And when it was revealed that that picture was him, the U.S. government actually wanted to deport him back to Vietnam, saying that he was a war criminal, because Vietnam was like demanding that he be extradited to like face justice. And if he got extradited to Vietnam, he would not have had a fair trial. There's no way he would have had a fair trial. He would have been convicted 100%. They would not have factored in that the guy was a mass murderer. They would have said, "Oh, the guy was a freedom fighter, the guy he killed." But that reporter who took the picture testified to Congress, saying that the guy he shot was a mass murderer and not to deport him, and he didn't get deported because of that. But the really horrible thing about that is that that general, he opened up a pizza restaurant later in America, and the stupid idiots had figured out who the general was, and what they did was they spread graffiti around his pizza shop saying that you're a murderer, you shot this guy in this picture, and they were threatening him. And the guy and his wife got so scared that they actually closed down the pizza place later on. He retired, and I think he passed away later on. But that was the backstory about the general. The general wasn't even mad about the picture. He even told the reporter is you are doing your thing for your country and I'm doing my thing for my country. I think those are his words, what he said specifically about it. So he never held it personally against the reporter for the picture he took. But that's basically what I'll say about misinformation. And I know some people would bring up, well, America should have never been in Vietnam. That's not the point here. We're not even talking about whether America should be in Vietnam. You could disagree with America being in the Vietnam War. The only thing I'm getting at is that picture was a perfect example of misinformation. It was. And the guy in that picture wasn't even American. It was a South Vietnamese general who executed a Viet Cong terrorist. And if Van Lem went to trial, the same thing would have happened. He would have been executed. He would have been hanged. So all the general did was he sped up the process. But unfortunately, because that picture was taken, the North Vietnamese used that as propaganda against South Vietnam and against the U.S., and it ultimately made South Vietnam and America look really bad with that picture. And the crazy thing about that picture is when it comes to the history of that picture, I didn't even know that picture was misinformation. I didn't. It wasn't until one of my viewers, ironically, a guy from Vietnam actually told me about that. Gunner here, he actually told me about that picture was misinformation, but I didn't even know about that. I started researching the story, and I researched the backstory, and even I was tricked by the propaganda. So that's how the power of propaganda, and that's the power of misinformation is, a picture can only say so much. And pictures can be heavily manipulated. That's what they can. The picture is real. There's nothing fake about the picture. But the backstory about the picture is what's misinformation specifically regarding it. Does my Polish background matter to me? I mean, I guess, yeah. I'm proud to have Polish background and Polish ancestry, sure. But it's not something that, like, I think about routinely and stuff like that. It's like, I'm an American. That's why primarily I have, Polish background, sure. but it's yeah, I can't control where I'm, my ancestry is. But yeah, I'm proud to be Polish, and that's it. So I do like Polish culture, like Poland. General needs help. Let me help, General. My lie was the U.S. downfall. Well, yeah, my lie made the U.S. look really bad too. It was, and the thing is, all of the soldiers involved in my lie should have been hanged. Like all the soldiers involved in that horrible massacre, they should have been hanged. But what the North Vietnamese propaganda doesn't tend to tell you is it doesn't tell you that an American pilot was the one who actually stopped the massacre. He threatened the soldiers doing it, and he stopped it. So they don't. The communist propaganda doesn't really tell you that it was stopped by an American. But yeah, I agree with you, is that the My Lai massacre made the U.S. look really bad, and it was horrible, and everyone involved in that should have been prosecuted. But here's the thing about the My Lai massacre that a lot of people don't know about. My Lai massacre, I have to look up how many people died in My Lai massacre. I think it's 400 or 500 people that died in My Lai, which is really horrible. But what a lot of people don't know is that the Hue City massacre. The Hue City massacre is the worst massacre of the Vietnam War. And the Hue City massacre, over 2,000 people actually died. Actually, I think it's 6,000 people that died in the Hue City massacre. So it's even more. So the worst U.S. massacre of the war killed like close to 500 people. But the worst massacre entirely of the war, the Hue City massacre, that was done by the communists. They killed close to 6,000 people. Oh, and that's what people don't know about. Do you ever hear about that massacre? People hear about the My Lai massacre all the time. It's the My Lai massacre, the American massacre in Vietnam. But you never hear about the Hue City massacre, which is where the North Vietnamese and the Viet Cong had basically killed people. They took them. When the North Vietnamese realized that they were losing the Battle of Hue City, what they did was they marched thousands of people outside of the cities, and they killed anybody that they thought could help the Americans after their defeat, like police officers, teachers, community leaders, anybody that they thought was an anti-communist. They basically just executed them, and they dumped them in these mass graves. And that's the North Vietnamese did that. The communists did that to their own people. A lot of people don't know about that. They don't know about the horrible crimes that happened in the Hue City massacre. 2,800 to 6,000, yeah. So it's way more than in My Lai massacre, but a lot of people don't know about that. Have I been to Europe? Yes, I've been to Poland, but that was in 2010 last time. Same goes for me. I'm proud to have German background despite myself Northern Irish. Oh, okay, Aaron. Oh, thank you for the super chat. Over 500 people died in the My Lai massacre, so yeah. Around there. It was, and look, everybody that was involved in the My Lai massacre should have been hanged. All of the soldiers that were responsible for doing that horrible thing, all the American soldiers should have been killed for that. They should have been executed. That was horrible what they did. It's not acceptable at all. Yeah, but those guys are not going to harass me anymore, Fallen Ghost, because I'm just going to play in private sessions again. I started playing in public sessions because I at least wanted to meet some random people in my lobbies, but unfortunately it looks like I got to go back to private sessions because we got idiots that keep joining the streams and killing me. What do you think of the Shah of Iran? Well, here's what I think personally. I'm not a fan of monarchies. I don't like monarchies in general. I hate them. But honestly, I'd much rather live under the Shah than live under the Ayatollah any day. So yes, I would prefer the Shah over living under the current Iranian regime. Definitely, the current Iranian regime is the worst. It's stupid how much blood the North Vietnam shed only to give up communism a couple of years later. And yeah, and you begin to ask yourself at that point, like, what was even the point of the Vietnam War? Like, you ask yourself, like, North Vietnam was trying to spread communism to South Vietnam. They were trying to unify South Vietnam under communism, and then only after a couple of years they abandoned communism. They realized it didn't work. So literally they abandoned communism after only a couple of years. So they spent nearly 20 years fighting. They fought against the French first. They fought against the French, and then they fought against the South Vietnamese, and then they fought against the Americans. And just fighting, for 20 years, only to give up communism after just a couple of years of finally winning the war. It's like, you ask yourself, it's like, what were they even fighting for? If they were fighting for that long for communism, only to give it up after just a couple of years. They realized it didn't work. Do you think a lot of non-Americans don't know about the true extent of the tyranny of Britain in the 13 colonies? Yeah, I don't think that, like, what a lot of people don't know is they don't know that, like, Americans, when it comes to the Revolutionary War, Americans really did suffer in the Revolutionary War. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people think that the U.S. did not have a bad in the Revolutionary War, and they thought that the British were not oppressing them that badly. The British were oppressing Americans pretty badly. Now there are other regimes that have treated their people way worse than the British have treated the Americans, but that doesn't mean that the British treated Americans fairly. The British treated Americans pretty inhumanely. Now, and here's a really scary fact that I'll tell you guys, and this is something that most people don't know, and probably most Americans probably don't even know this fact, and that is this, and this will show you how evil the British were during the Revolutionary War. Did you know that more Americans actually died in British captivity than they died in battle? Did you know that? Most people don't know that. So 3 times more Americans died as British prisoners than they died in the war itself, in battle. So just imagine that, is that the British took thousands of American prisoners during the Revolutionary War. 3 times more Americans died as being British prisoners than they did in battle. A lot of people don't know that. People think that, oh, the British would treat their prisoners as gentlemen. That's what they basically thought. They thought the British were, like, honorable. They would not abuse their prisoners. They would treat them, honorably. That's BS. The only people that the British treated fairly were officers. So, like, if it was, like, an American continental officer that they captured, they would treat them more humanely. But if you're talking about specifically the soldiers, regulars, they were heavily abused. And what they would do is they would take these American prisoners and they would put them on these ships. And these ships, these prison ships were only designed to hold a couple hundred prisoners, but they stacked them with thousands of prisoners. And so all these American prisoners were on these cramped ships in New York harbors, and they were all chained to the floor. They couldn't move. They were all cramped together. They were starving. And in the summertime on those ships, when it was like really, really hot, they had no proper ventilation. People would die from heat. Heat stroke on those ships. The ships were crawling with rats. These diseases would spread. When they would give the prisoners food, they gave them like rotten meat. And so you had thousands of Americans that would just die, prisoners that would die on these ships. And when a prisoner died of like a disease, the British soldiers wouldn't even pick up that American prisoner. They would instead force the American soldiers or prisoners to pick them up and throw them overboard, just throw them in the water. And those bodies actually started like drying up on the coast of New York, and like a lot of like loyalists, for example, they saw like just how badly those bodies had been destroyed, and so that changed a lot of people's viewpoint. And there's actually in Brooklyn today, in New York, there's actually a memorial dedicated to all the American prisoners who actually died aboard those ships. So that's something that a lot of people don't know about, is they generally don't know stuff like that stuff like that happened. Yes, the Jersey. The Jersey was the ship that the most amount of Americans died on. Oh, thank you, Quay, Quay, for the super chat. Thanks, man. Don't do the glitch. You had that bad at the game that you have to do a glitch. You do. Why are you even attacking people that don't even want to fight? You're literally attacking people in the middle of a mission that don't even want to fight. How about you don't do that? I remember you telling us about the woman who went undercover and poisoned the soldiers to save the British. Yes. So, women were the only people that were really allowed onto the ships besides the guards. And there was a woman who actually, what she did was she would bring the Bible to the prisoners, and the British did not search her Bible, but what she had was she cut out the Bible, and inside the Bible she put in some kind of sedative, something that would knock out the guards. And she gave it to the prisoners. The prisoners put that in the guards' beer, knocked out the guard, took the keys, and escaped from the prison. Now, the British said that it was extremely dishonorable and evil what this woman did, that she did that with a Bible. But, what was she supposed to do? They were just torturing and killing people on this ship. So, if anything, the more dishonorable thing wasn't that she hid, poison in the Bible. The dishonorable thing was what they were doing to these prisoners inside the ship. So, she was very justified in what she did. You single-handedly got me interested in history. Yeah, history is very interesting. A lot of the things that you could read about. There's a lot of things people don't know about when you read in history.
Of course. Jackass.
Oh yeah, I can do a playthrough of Call of Duty Ghosts. I can do that one day too. Your thoughts on John Brown? Wasn't John Brown that abolitionist? He was that priest that that priest that fought against slavery, right? I'm just let me look him up. I think that's what I'm thinking of. I think it's John Brown as the priest. I just want to make sure I'm talking about the right person. Yes, okay, yeah, I was right. John Brown was that priest. He was that priest who fought against slavery. So, about John Brown, my opinion of John Brown is John Brown was kind of a crazy person. He was kind of, like, insane in the head, like, actually had actual, like, you know, mental issues. But he was generally a good person. So he was a little bit of an unstable guy, but the reason I say he's a bit of unstable is because he was like fully convinced in his mind that like God was talking to him, and he said like, you know, God is talking to me and telling me to like you know, free the slaves, which is good what he did. You know, he fought against slavery, he freed a lot of people, but he was a bit crazy that he believed that he was constantly talking to God. And he was a bit of an unstable guy, so he definitely had some mental issues there. But he was a hero in the end. He did do good things. He, you know, he helped free a lot of slaves. So that was, so, yes, he was a good guy. He was just a bit unstable in the head. What's wrong, Knight? I have dry eyes today. Oh, I've had that in the past. It really sucks. The worst is when you feel a pain when you wake up. It sucks. Who started the American-Spanish War? Not really anyone. The thing about the Spanish-American War, what I'll say about that conflict, is America and Spain both didn't really start it. It wasn't really either side. Because what started it was the explosion of the USS Maine, and there was really no proof that the Spanish had done that, so there was no proof that the Spanish were the ones who blew up the Maine. But at the same time is, what the Spanish were doing is, the Spanish were, heavily abusing people in Cuba and Puerto Rico. And that was one of the things that affected America badly. So a lot of Americans were horrified by that, so the Spanish were oppressing their colonies. Now, when the United States entered the Spanish-American War, you know, Cuba generally had better freedom. They were kind of like a protectorate of America, but the Cubans had, you know, much better lives after the Spanish-American War. You know, they were, you know, they became kind of a republic. They were kind of very pro-US, but they had better lives than they were under the Spanish. The Spanish basically treated them like garbage. The Spanish had this really disgusting system where the Spanish aristocrats, they looked down on the Cubans, they looked down on the Puerto Ricans, and the Spanish would basically say like, oh, if you were not born in Spain, you are inferior. That's how the Spanish basically did things in their colonies. They're like, if you were not born on mainland Spain, you are inferior. And so that's how the Spanish basically treated people in their colonies. They basically treated like the Cubans as inferior to them, they treated the Puerto Ricans as inferior to them. It was like these rich Spanish aristocrats that basically just looked down on the population, and that's, you know, that's why Spain lost almost all their colonies. They lost all their colonies in South America, and then they lost, you know, Cuba, and then they lost Puerto Rico at that time too, because they treated people like garbage. That's essentially what happened. Now, the U.S. treated people badly at that time too, I would say, but like, for example, like, you had people in Puerto Rico were given like American citizenship. You know, they were, you know, America had a pretty racist government back then, but like, Puerto Ricans were given American citizenship, where under Spain, they didn't have such a thing. There was no such a thing where like Puerto Ricans had Spanish citizenship. It didn't really exist. So that was it. So the Spanish-American War is a little bit of a complicated war. The United States went into that war for like kind of dumb reasons. But at the same time is, when you look at it from the American perspective, at the time, we didn't really know that the Spanish didn't blow up the ship. And if you were an American, you would want the U.S. to go to war with Spain, because one of your ships just got blown up, and most people assumed that it was the Spanish who did that. So that's the backstory on the Spanish-American War. Do you think the Menacer is better than the Night Shark? Do you think that Aknost is a useless plane? It's bigger, volatile, but with stealth. I don't think really anyone uses it. There's really not a purpose to it because it can get blown up so easily. The Menacer? No, I think the Night Shark is better. It's just faster overall. Ogu. I did get the challenge. Thanks for the... Thanks, and you forgot to start your posse. Oh, I did? Oh, I'm sorry, Brandon. If I forgot to start the posse, I'm sorry. Are the Hessians the toughest enemies to fight in Assassin's Creed 3? They're some of the toughest. Uh,
Hey, who's that? Hey, who are you? Vas a morir.
no, I don't think I've seen the movie Harry Brown. Hey, Sebi, how are you doing, dude? I'm doing good. How are you, man? The Batman Arkham games, maybe I could try to fit them in this year. Communist Laos during the Vietnam War. Well, Laos used to have a monarchy, but the communists overthrew it. And the thing is that what a lot of people don't know about is that Vietnam actually invaded Laos in the North Vietnam invaded Laos in the late 50s. And that's what I find so ironic about this, is that when it comes to the Vietnam War, right? When it comes to the Vietnam War, the U.S. is constantly accused of imperialism in the Vietnam War, but North Vietnam is never accused of imperialism. And North Vietnam invaded South Vietnam, a sovereign country. They invaded Laos, a sovereign country. They invaded Cambodia. And I'm not talking about when they invaded when Pol Pot was in power, before Pol Pot. Because Cambodia was a monarchy before Pol Pot. They invaded during that too. So, literally, Vietnam has invaded multiple countries, but the United States, for some reason, is the most imperialistic when it comes to the Vietnam War. And that's what a lot of people, like, for example, like, they don't know in the history, is that North Vietnam was attacking South Vietnam. It was like two countries. Not like America just randomly invaded Vietnam. Like, South Vietnam was like an American ally, and the United States sent 10,000 advisors there under Kennedy, and then they actually deployed their troops. The South Vietnamese government welcomed the Americans into there. And then the North Vietnam was invading at the time. Now, should the U.S. have been there? Probably not, because it's a stupid long war. But the thing about that is when you call it, like, when you say, like, oh, it's American imperialism, I always just found that ridiculous. People say, oh, it's American imperialism. It's like, North Vietnam were the ones invading South Vietnam. How does that make any sense? So that's things that people, like, they generally don't think about stuff like that in history. I have a trader and a moonshine ready for sale. Okay, start your posse. I can help you, Far.
You gotta have some grit to go through that.
Yeah, I'll play Saints Row 1 for the 20th anniversary. We'll do that. Can I ask you something history related? Sure, Arcade. What's your question? What's wrong, Omni? Hey, Lucid, how are you doing, dude? He did start the posse. Well, hang on. Why does it say Far's posse for Brandon? Hang on, wait. Can you invite me to the posse, please? Send me an invite to it. Hey, brother Polska. Hey, Maxim. Yes, Ethiopia, Ethiopia was, in Korea, so was Turkey also. Did you know some bad cops are child predators? That's horrible and disgusting. There are some bad police officers out there. Thank you, Aaron, for that super chat. What specifically, what, Omni? Well, they just trained a lot. They wanted, to get back their country, Gunner. How many people heard of the Barbary slave trade? Over 2 million Europeans enslaved by North African states. Well, about the Barbary slave trade, it wasn't just Europeans, it was also Americans. A lot of Americans were also kidnapped and taken as slaves, like when their ships were boarded. They were pirates from Libya and Algeria primarily, but they were kind of like, they were working for the Ottoman Empire. So they were also paying what the Barbary states were. They were a bunch of pirate states, and they would raid any kind of ships that came in through there. So like if there was like European ships, they would ask to pay a toll. Like the British paid the toll for a long time. If they didn't pay the toll, they would attack them, and then they would board their ships, steal their stuff, and then they would give a cut of that to the Ottomans. That's the backstory of the Barbary states. What do you think would have happened if Operation Valkyrie was successful? If Operation Valkyrie was successful and Germany stood down, I think that there's a possibility that the Western Allies might have stopped, but the Soviet Union would not have stopped. I think the Soviets would have kept going. Well, that's okay then, Omni. Thank you, Jack and Daizan, thank you for the super chat. Thank you, man. I don't want to get into that too much, James. I want to wait until there's more, until the investigation proceeds. Just wait for the investigation and see what that says. Hi, Pro. Hey, Blazing Champ. How are you, dude? Dyson? Okay. I'm good. Yeah, I will do a stream of Fallout 76 probably this Wednesday. A little bit, Gunner. What I'm gonna talk about when I talk about Ghost Recon Wildlands, what I'm gonna be talking about mostly is the cartels and how they work. That's what I'll be talking about mostly. How did Yemen become communist? Well, Yemen, I think, is the only Arab country that was communist. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But yes, Yemen was, it was South Yemen that was communist. I think it was South Yemen, because it was North Yemen and South Yemen. I think South Yemen was the one that was communist. Just binge watch your GTA 4 videos and lore. Thank you, Goldie. Thank you, man. Did you know the cartels also steal gas from Pemex, the Mexican state-run petroleum company, and sold it to their clients in the U.S.? That I didn't know, but I'm not surprised. Yes, Finland did declare independence from the Russian Empire. That's true. My favorite type of trains? Probably high-speed trains. Thank you, Aaron. Invite here. I did hear about that, Bori. What's your question, Enthusiastic? I'm sorry. Operation Sea Lion. It sounds familiar. Let me look it up. It sounds very familiar. If I look it up, I'll probably know what it was. I probably just forgot the name of it. Let's see. Wait, what is this here? Oh, this was Nazi Germany's plans to invade, Britain. Yeah, this one. I know a little bit about this. I know a little bit about this. About this. Here's what I'll say about it. The Germans wanted to develop this weird underwater tank. So they wanted to develop this tank that could actually go underwater. That is literally what they wanted to do. So they were experimenting with this designs where they wanted to make a tank that would completely go underwater, and then what they could do is they would just get it across those hundreds of those tanks across the channel. That was one of their plans. But here's the thing about this. The reason that that's stupid is because first you have to mass produce, a whole line of new tanks, which is going to take time and tons of money. Secondly, no tank has enough fuel to basically last that long. To go the distance that the English Channel is, to cross that long without needing to refuel, no World War II tank is going to have a gas tank like that. And third, the English Channel is not flat. It is very uneven under there. And so, like, a tank like that would need to rely on very flat terrain. It is not going to work. So that was, yeah. That plan was just never gonna work. The UAE backed separatists in lost in Yemen. Yes, I know that. That Saudi Arabia and the UAE are both heavily involved in Yemen. I don't know, Brawley. But here's my viewpoint on this, guys. If GTA 6 gets delayed again, like if it happens one more time, then I think everybody has a right to be pissed. If GTA 6 gets delayed again, I think we have a right to be pissed at that point, because they've delayed it by a full year, and you begin to ask yourself, what the hell are they doing? Because they were supposed to release it in 2025 was the plan. And so if they delay it again after delaying it for a year, you begin to ask yourself, like, what are they doing? Yes, that is true, Minion. But he also killed several people with his submachine gun. So the kill count for Simo Hi is even, bigger. Let me see. How many times, hang on, times has GTA 6 been delayed? GTA 6 been delayed at least twice. Pushback from fall 2025 to May 2026 release. and then pushed back to, yeah, November 2026. Can you talk about the Bataan Death March during World War II history? And also, can you shout out to my crushes, Andrea and Alia? Well, I'll tell you about the Bataan Death March. The Bataan Death March, that happened in 1942. That's when it happened. It was right after the Pearl Harbor attack. Japan actually invaded the Philippines. And when Japan invaded the Philippines, they took over 100,000 prisoners, and it was it was Filipino and American prisoners of war. America had a huge military presence in the Philippines at that time. Now, about this is when Japan took over 100,000 prisoners. I think that is the most amount of American prisoners that have ever been taken in a single battle. I think that is it. I think that was the most amount of American, correct me if I'm wrong, in history, the most amount of Americans have been taken prisoner. Now, when Japan took those American soldiers prisoner, what they did was they marched the Americans and the Filipino soldiers to the POW camps. And the Japanese had trucks they could have put them on, but they didn't put them on those trucks. And they wouldn't give the prisoners water. So the Japanese had canteens of water. They would not give the prisoners water. Prisoners would, collapse from the heat, exhaustion. And if you collapse from the heat, exhaustion, they would kill you. They would basically stab you, bayonet you, shoot you. It was really bad. And yet thousands of people that died that didn't even get to the camps. They didn't even get there in time. They just died en route to the camps. That's what the Bataan Death March was. Do you hate AI? I sure do. It ruined everything. The thing is sometimes AI can be helpful for like looking up certain things. Like if I give AI like a general description, I'll be like, what is the name of that movie with the character that does this and that and stuff like that. AI will find what I'm looking for pretty quickly. It'll find it much quicker than like a Google search, for example, much quicker. But if we're talking about like AI specifically when it comes to making videos, pictures, and stuff like that, no, it encourages laziness on YouTube. That's what it does. Okay, I can help you with that also, Far. Invite me to it. I work in landscaping business, and I recently started prospecting. I'm trying really hard to land a warehouse contract, whether for the summer or the winter. What should I do? It's seeming impossible. You're trying to find a warehouse contract. Well, can you explain a little bit more documented? What do you mean a warehouse contract? Like, what's your goal here? Can you explain a little more to me? Cancel that, I'm out, bro. What's wrong, Carlos?
Hey there, I'm your boss's partner. Your boss seems to have a knack to finding good people.
Simo Haiha was hit by an explosive round in the face. It damaged his face severely. Monte Cassino, one of the most brutal battles in Italy. A lot of Polish people fought there. My great-grandfather actually fought in that battle. You're from the Philippines. Oh, that's cool, Daizan. Just the upper body, Goldie. No, AMRM, he destroyed the country. And destroyed so many other countries. We will do it right around that time, Gunner.
Please help! Oh God, no! Shucks, hey, I ain't seen your face in that mask on for.
Let me go poker, do a little bit of that.
The hell's your problem? There's a bullet going straight for you.
The M4 was just a much more simpler,
It's still rolling from the
more simpler and short, better gun. So that's why, I mean, I'm pretty sure the army still uses the M16 to a degree. Do I like to watch other streamers sometimes?
Hello, miss.
Well, he didn't use the Mosin gun. He used the Finnish M38, which is, or M28, I think it might be. It's a Finnish version of the Mosin gun, but it's a little different.
Okay, now you are really starting to annoy me. Oh Lord.
No, I haven't played the upscale version of Red Dead. How do you think the Santa in Red Dead Redemption 1 and thoughts on him, and also the fact that look his character design. He looks like Tony Montana in Scarface 83. No. The Santa was a scumbag in Red Dead Redemption 1. Call of Duty set in the Yugoslavian wars. I don't think they'll ever do it. If they did like a sequel to Black Ops 6, they might have like a mission there.
Oh, je crois que j'ai trop vraiment trop bu.
Oh, you want to play it again, Brandon? I don't know. We'll have to see. I can't give you an exact time on that one.
I'm gonna have to raise my prices.
The strange man did mention Dutch killing that girl, yes. I think that was when Dutch was starting to snap. Do I play games off stream? Yeah.
Seems I found my calling. I'll say.
It's just a bunch of anti-Polish propaganda, Gunner. In the 2023 leaks, we saw what GTA 6 police will be intelligent enough to recognize your vehicle after losing them. I was bothered by this. What about you, Patrick? I don't mind it if they do it something like Mafia, where you have to like change the plates or the color of the vehicle.
Those new pills.
What state do you want to see in the next Fallout 76? They could do Kentucky, maybe. They could do that one as a map expansion, too. What was Dutch's downfall? Arrogance. Oh, I'm gonna win this hand. I'm gonna win this hand. This hand I'm gonna win. This is mine. No problem, Far.
I've heard.
Got plans this evening? You'll change your mind. Well,
I don't go all in at once because people are then more likely to fold. I go like slowly, like $1 up, just so they have some money in there, and then I go all in on the last one. I'm gonna win this.
Well, well.
well.
Look at that hand. Look at that. Beautiful, right, guys? Look at that. Okay, I'm gonna leave here. I know it only one hand, but I don't think I'm gonna get a better win than that. Walter White's biggest mistake? Not knowing when to stop. Yeah, I think not knowing when to stop, Aaron. I made a video on the Strange Man, but it was just so long ago. Nice dude, love your streams. Thank you, Extra. What do I think about Saddam Hussein? Well, terrible person, but I don't think it was the US's place to remove him. Fallout 5, I like to see a new location. A little bit, Gunner. You also have, you know, North Korea being a superpower in Homefront. I think Dutch cared about Hosea to a degree, and when Hosea snapped, that was it for him. I mean, Hosea died, he snapped, it was it for him. You're leaving the book in the bathroom where Hank finds out the truth about Walter's name. Yep. I'll see you, Phoenix. No, I haven't tried the London mod for Fallout 4. Has anyone made fun of your heritage before? Oh, all the time. You know, all the time I've had it happen. You know, people have said, you know, nasty things to me on YouTube. When I was in school, sometimes people made comments about, you know, my heritage, but YouTube, it also happened a little bit. I just don't let it get to me. I just ignore it. Well, Damien reacted to my video. I gotta still link his video. He reacted to my video showing off the AI Panda scam. Isn't Homefront very unrealistic for North Korea to be a superpower? It's based on Nazi Germany's rise to power. That's what it's based on. Do you think the Federation and Call of Duty goes to the far-right regime? It seems like it. I would just ignore those. Don't give them attention, sure. Well, in GTA 6, they'll probably bring back the Cuban gang like they had in Vice City. Sometimes it's been helpful, Jag, but then there's other times that have been disasters. Okay, guys, I think I'm probably gonna wrap up my stream here. I'm hungry. I haven't had dinner yet. I gotta start eating dinner earlier. I don't know. I'm eating dinner at 11 p.m., but I still haven't had dinner yet. So I gotta I'm gonna get off here for the night. I hope that everyone has a great weekend. Tomorrow I'll have a video on GTA 6 talking about my thoughts on a potential delay. So if you want to hear my thoughts talking about a potential 2027 delay, I will have that up tomorrow. And then Sunday we'll do a stream on GTA Online. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream today. If you did, drop a like, and